Good afternoon and welcome for today's conversation with the Mayor of Bethlehem, Mayor Vera Baboun. I'm Wendy Chamberlain. I'm president of the Middle East Institute, and again, I'd like to welcome you very warmly to this event. It's a great pleasure to be able to sponsor this event with very prominent Palestinians, and it's made possible by the generous sponsorship of the George and Rhonda Salem Family Foundation Lecture Series. Our program today is a joint effort. It's a joint effort with Global Communities, which is a development organization that does tremendous work in the West Bank, in Gaza, in Haiti, in Colombia, with Ebola and Africa, Rwanda, lots of places throughout the world. Our format today will be, we'll begin with a presentation by the mayor. She has a great story to tell about her successful efforts to keep Bethlehem an open city that provides services equally to all of different communities. The mayor will make her opening remarks, and then she'll be joined by the panel that she has brought with her from the West Bank. We're pleased that Mayor Baboun will be accompanied by Mrs. Lana Abu-Hijleh. I know I probably said that wrong. Yes. You'll discover, as I did, that Lana is a superstar. You know, a lot of times, in fact, many of you and the Middle East Institute, we do a lot of talking about the youth bulge in the region, about youth unemployment, about good governance and how to get there and how to build democracies. Well, Lana doesn't talk about it, she does something about it. And several years ago, she created a program, local youth councils, where young people are elected. They shadow municipal leaders. They learn about democracy. They participate in democracy. They administer programs. And we have a couple of them here today to tell you about that experience. Jacob and Betty. So it ought to be a very interesting discussion.
Just in case.
Our moderator for today's panel is Ms. Muna Shikaki. She is a correspondent with Arabiya news service, and I'm sure you've seen her and heard of her many times before. Before I introduce the mayor, I'd just like to alert you to some of the upcoming programs to be sponsored by the Middle East Institute. The next one is tomorrow in this very room. And it is about, we will be discussing Kurds and their new clout in the U.S. With regards to Turkey and Iraq. So, in addition to tomorrow's event, please look at our website. We have events all the time coming up, and I'm sure you'd like to join and participate in them. So, Mayor Vera Baboun, you know, a couple of years ago, she was a prominent professor of women's studies at the University of Bethlehem. And then she was sought after and recruited to run for office, I think for the first time in an elected position, but certainly not new to politics. It's hard to live in Bethlehem and avoid politics. But since becoming mayor of Bethlehem, she has launched a very successful, active, ambitious program for practical governance and growth of her city, and she's doing this under some very challenging circumstances, which she will tell you all about. Her remarks and the remarks of this amazing panel, I expect will show little reported stories about Palestine. The understory, the underreported stories, the stories about advancements at the municipal level. We don't talk about that much in Washington. About youth who are actually acting on their hopes for a greater future, and about leaders who, despite challenges and frustrations, are putting into place the basis for a better future. So, Mayor Vera Baboun, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, definitely not, good morning. first would like to thank the Middle East Institute, Global Communities, for having this very important opportunity to be among you. Thank you all for being among us today. To come from Bethlehem is very challenging and very significant to share the way we lead our governance, the challenges that we face. In the mere end, we are talking about the map of humanity. As Mrs. Wendy has mentioned, I'm the first woman elected in Bethlehem. And if you ask me, what does it mean to be the mayor of a city like Bethlehem with its two identities? Bethlehem, the Palestinian city under siege, and Bethlehem, the universal city of the message of peace. Unfortunately, two contradictory positions that needs a lot of efforts. On one hand, municipally speaking, to keep the citizen live in dignity, and at the same time, to keep the message and the star of Bethlehem with all its meanings, with all its universality, brightening and alive. And that is not an easy job in a place where, if I'm going to give you a background on Bethlehem, Bethlehem Municipality was established since 1872. It has 15 members, council members, and every time they are elected. Bethlehem is part and parcel as a city of Bethlehem Governorate. And Bethlehem Governorate, let me put the map. Okay. This is Bethlehem Governorate in all. It's equal to 608 kilometers square. And Bethlehem city is that area. From the north is Jerusalem, and the south is Hebron, another Palestinian city. And here is Bethlehem Governorate. The mayor of Bethlehem is responsible and leads almost 7.3 kilometers square. But the mayor of Bethlehem is also responsible to lead, or the president of the Water Authority in the Governorate, vice president of the Electricity Authority in the Governorate, the president of the Waste Joint Council in the Governorate. That means the mayor of Bethlehem, as the mayor of the center city, leads a lot in the Governorate and thus faces incredible challenges when we address services. Apart from the topography of Bethlehem, and it is important when I discuss all this, in no possible manner I can discuss the situation and the challenge I face as a mayor without definitely explaining the political situation in Bethlehem. It is part and parcel of the whole situation and the challenge. In order to facilitate the information for you, apart from the governorate as a size, Bethlehem has, as a governorate, 10 municipalities, 58 rural village councils, and 3 refugee camps. As per the topographical challenge that really makes my process as part of a local governance authority that leads the process on ground and carries life on ground, addresses the frustration, the joy, the beauty, the sadness of the citizen, and life itself. It is par excellence us, the mayors. So whatever you can imagine, any challenge take place on any level, the ones to lead life and its challenges, absence of peace process, witnessing of peace process, failure, success of negotiations, or whatever you can imagine on the political level, we on the level of the local governance face all the reality on ground, since we are the ones to lead the citizens' life and needs. So I talked about the size, I talked about the constituency and how much, you know, we have municipalities, and then I come to the major challenge that I face on ground. As we all know, after Oslo, the West Bank territories was divided into areas A, B, and C. Area A, to those who maybe do not really know, I just like to give a slight explanation. Area A is under the full authority of the Palestinian Authority. It means security and administration. Area B, administration, Palestinian Authority. B, security under Israeli control. Area C, administration and security fully controlled by Israel. 5 years after Oslo, as agreed, this should have been changed. C to become B, B to become A, and thus prepare to the two-state solution that we all expected to witness in the near end. 62% of the territories are Area C, which on ground means you cannot pave a road, you cannot build a building, you can do nothing without taking the permission, the license from the Israelis. Let me share with you Bethlehem as microscopic of the whole situation. Unfortunately, and again I say unfortunately, Bethlehem as a governorate does not have 62% as Area C. Bethlehem, the city of the message, the city of peace, the city who given a new understanding for civilization in the whole world, in its message of peace, hope, and love, has 82% Area C. Do you see the yellow? All the yellow is Area C. It means I can do nothing in this governorate as part and parcel of a Palestinian mobility. Practicality is on ground. You want to create a change? You need to be practical. You need to move. This bureaucracy and this prevention in taking license, in taking acceptance, and in the mere end, as a block. You can't do things as you do it normally in any part of the world. But there are victims inside. There are people, they are citizens who you hardly as a mayor can provide them with the services they're supposed to take. Apart from Area C. In Area C and in the 1967 borders, in Bethlehem in specific, we have 22 settlements. And when I say 22 settlements, it means you can do nothing in these areas. Apart from C, now on the top of that, we have 22 settlements and the buffer zone that surround them. And when I say buffer zone, it means more land to be confiscated from this 608 kilometers square. The blue and the dark blue are the settlements inside Bethlehem the settlements in the 1967 supposed to be state of Palestine. Inshallah. You see it? Yeah. Now, all these are settlements, and the biggest are in the northern borders of Bethlehem. This is Bethlehem, and it's the other part, all this. So these are the biggest two settlements. If I'm going to talk about the citizens of Bethlehem, we are almost 200,000. In the city of Bethlehem, we are 40,000. Christians in Bethlehem Governorate are 48,000, and the rest are Muslims. And when I say Christian and Muslims, I say Palestinians. The number of the settlers in Bethlehem is almost reaching the half to the number of the citizens in Bethlehem Governorate. What does that mean? I will probe on it afterwards. The last challenge for us is, as you know, the wall. Every red line is a wall, but the most difficult wall is the wall that separates Bethlehem from Jerusalem. All Palestinian cities has walls that separate from Jerusalem. But what does it mean to separate the twin city in spirit, Bethlehem and Jerusalem, from each other? Bethlehem has the Church of the Nativity, and the moment of the Nativity of Jesus Christ was in our town. And the Church of the Holy Sepulchre is in Jerusalem. By having that wall in the northern part, it means restrictions of mobility. It means that to enter Jerusalem, you need to have a permit. Recently, as you have read in the paper with you, Israel has decreased its practices for the permits. And now, 24, if married, they can access, and if they have a child. Those above 55, they can enter without a permit. But can we look together? What is the wall in Bethlehem? The wall in Bethlehem is the most vicious, since it is in the middle, in the heart. You can see it from your window on a daily basis. This is the wall in Bethlehem. And by the way, most ironically, Bethlehem is or has a gate. And myself, I'm the mayor of the gated city par excellence. Now, this is the gate. We have 4 gates. This is the wall where His Holiness stopped to pray, that the wall tumbles in his visit to Bethlehem. But one of the most images that hurts me as a human, before me as a Palestinian, is this. People to go and pass through the wall, look how we go through it. Look the way people are condensed in order to go. In a city like Bethlehem, the main message is the message of dignity. And whenever dignity is there, security becomes the master of all games. One very important thing, we lack dignified living. And that's what we need to salute. Imagine me as a mayor of a city that faces the wall, faces the challenges of Area C, faces the challenges of the settlements. Here we are today, coming among you after having 2 years of serving Bethlehem. I can tell you, we succeeded as a council, with the assistance of many, to create changes on ground that are acceptable to create a higher level in a dignified living. However, the political situation around minimizes our capacities to move forward. Land is controlled, and now money is controlled, and now aid is controlled. Three things forces me and you to go back and stand in the corner. But for security and peace, you do not need people standing in corners. You need people to move in spaces and create spaces. In the last 2 years, we succeeded as a Bethlehem Municipality Council to increase the organizational municipal borders of Bethlehem Municipality in order to create its new master plan. Unfortunately, Bethlehem does not have a master plan since 1958. And just recently we voted on the master plan and the increase of the municipal borders for 2 kilometers square. With all the help of global communities, we put this strategic planning to develop this touristic city, this universal city, this Palestinian city to be for the Palestinians. And by the way, Bethlehem is to you as well. Bethlehem, everyone who believes in its message is a citizen of Bethlehem, and Bethlehem should be open to all. One of the major achievements we did as well, we had a strategic plan for the municipality, and we succeeded to create what is supposed to be the good governance in practice and in application on ground. E-municipality. The way we lead our work is based on really practical, well-defined system. And this is all within the scarcity that we live on the national level. All the aids that have been supported by the USAID, by the global communities. We have recently a big project in the old city of Bethlehem, the old market. Another challenge I face. The old market is part and parcel of the UNESCO site in Bethlehem. Bethlehem today is not only Bethlehem only. Bethlehem now represents a UNESCO site, but a UNESCO site under the list of danger. That means if us as municipality does not develop or preserve the site, this site is under the danger of withdrawing it. But for Bethlehem to do and to go under this pressure has a lot of indications. We tried, in order to sustain a sense of security in the city, to prepare a sense of democracy as well, and an equality in services. The first one, and after the initiative that the global community created, we had our municipal council, 15 members, elected by youngsters in the city, lead or are shadow to the way the municipality is taking place and how it acts. In the mere end, we are trying to build a generation who understands how to lead Bethlehem in all the meanings of good governance and democracy. If all this takes place, and the occupation, and let me use, yes, though we are under the Palestinian Authority jurisdiction and wherever, we are still occupied, but an uncostly occupation. We lead the security, we keep on the security, we do all the services, but in any moment, the Israelis can enter into Area A, grab who wants and leave. Up till when? We're going to live an uncostly occupation. And recently I read a term here, a benevolent occupation, because they started facilitating. Occupation is occupation, right? Occupation is occupation. And it is one math, one equation I believe in. Whether occupation lives here, whether occupation is here, whether occupation is on ground, whether fear lives here, whether fear lives here, nothing can end all this but peace. But peace needs compromises from everybody. I think we fear compromises, and thus we all failed. Living in Bethlehem, which is the window of Palestine to the whole world, 63 years of continuous occupation means that the action and reaction will continue to pop up. One thing I need to say, we are going, as the rest of all humanity, on a solution and a process that's supposed to lead to a two-state solution, and which means a Palestinian state, where us as Palestinians live in dignity, equality, and mercy. And mercy, this is the word I would like to concentrate upon as well. We all look always as justice, equity, equality, human right. I would like to add the word mercy. Because when you lack the food, when you lack water, when you lack all the services that keeps on humanity, that means we are leading the solution without mercy. But I come from Bethlehem. I was raised in Bethlehem. I knew what mercy means. I know what peace means. And most ironically, this city that gave all of us and our neighbors, even the Israelis, the meaning of peace, is walled. And by itself, that walled is a pure irony, is a practice of the absence of peace. Can it be that this city of the cradle is by itself lacking peace? Where are we, humanity? Bethlehem now is becoming, and it should be, the touristic haven, pilgrim for everybody. And even this is under jeopardy. Can I share with you one thing? In Bethlehem, every year we have 2 million tourists. Tourists come to visit the Nativity and pray in the Nativity Church. But the ironical part of it, they come for 5 hours, pray in the Nativity, get into the buses, go to a souvenir shop, and then run away. To understand Bethlehem, you need to walk on its streets, to talk to its people. And even this human right, we don't have it. Some do sleep in Bethlehem for 2 nights, but the whole day is not in Bethlehem. Bethlehem becomes a station, and me as a mayor has to give all the services needed, not only for the Bethlehemites, but for all the comers in the city, without being able to talk to any, definitely except who comes to the municipality as officials. Let the peace process start from Bethlehem. Bethlehem is the holder of the star. How can this peace be absent while Bethlehem is in the middle and the womb of this territory and the Holy Land? Can somebody tell me? Peace can never be a failure. In the mere end, we will all winners be. But it needs to understand the needs of people who live on the other part of the wall. Do you see them? It hurts me to look at them like this. Those are the disadvantages, the binary opposition that Jacques Derrida talked about many times. The binaries, the good and the bad. But the binary is literally practiced in our part of the world. wall outside, wall inside. I will stop here, keeping my message that Bethlehem, like its sister cities, Palestinian cities, live incredible challenges. We as mayors face reality on ground to keep lives dignified. And whatever takes place, blocking money, like what happened just 4 months ago, it is our money, Palestinian tax money. It is not a matter if or. With the if, we can achieve nothing. With that threat, we achieve nothing. Because at the end, if this money is not transferred, what happens to us on ground as the mayors and the citizens? We start speaking to the air. Security needs a real practice of moral security. And moral security bring peace in all its senses. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Baboun. I'm going to introduce the panelists, the three panelists who are going to be speaking, and then we're going to let them give a little bit of their presentation. I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and then we'll open it to the audience. So I'm going to start with, to my right is Lana Abu-Hijleh. She's a Palestinian development expert, and since 2003, she's been the country director of Global Communities, where she leads a team of 200 Palestinian and international professionals designing and implementing assistance programs. She's going to tell us a little bit about the Youth Council and a little bit about what Global Communities does in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. After her, Jacob Qara'a, he's the president of the Bethlehem Youth Council, so he's basically the mayor of that version. He's a senior majoring in business administration at Bethlehem University, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the Youth Council's structure and its impact. And to his right is Vera Baboun, who's an ICT specialist and web administrator of Bethlehem Municipality. And she's also a graduate of Bethlehem University. She's going to tell us a little bit about self-empowerment and the youth councils, and then we're going to have some questions for the mayor and for the rest of the panelists. So I'm going to go ahead and allow Lana to go ahead and
do that. How do you follow Vera Baboun? But I guess that's why we've been partnering with such an amazing leader in Palestine, and why we've been focusing on local governance for the last 10, 11 years with the support of USAID. But before that, as global communities, we've actually believed that doing good work, having good partnerships in the West Bank and Gaza would lead to stability and eventually would lead to peace. That's why in 1994, we established our office. We started actually in Gaza, one of the few organizations that started to work out of Gaza. And with the support of USAID, we've been implementing several programs, focusing on community development, on creating economic opportunities, and on humanitarian assistance, and unfortunately, emergency response. Because with the work we do, and the institutions we help build, the small infrastructure we help develop, we continue to move from one crisis to the other, but we keep the hope because we have people like Vera, and we have people like Jacob and Betty who we know deserve the best and will lead us towards peace at some point. In our focus on local governance, and now you know why we've been focusing on local governance, we believe that helping Palestinian institutions develop, be robust institutions, provide good services to citizens, be built on good governance practices, would form the foundations of the future state of Palestine. We all believe in the two-state solution. And USAID and the American people have been providing us with the support to do that. Local governments, as Vera mentioned, have been historic in Palestine. 1872, Ottoman period. From the Ottoman period till now, they're still around. They're still providing services. And in my experience, and I studied in the United States between the years 80 and 85, as a civil engineer, I wanted to go back and serve my country. I was 2 years old, of course. My first job with the United Nations Development Program was in Jabalia refugee camp. Somebody from there? Anjad? And I witnessed the first uprising starting. The municipalities at the time were the ones who were continued to provide services, although the civil administration of the Israeli occupation was still functional. In 1994, after Oslo Accords and the Palestinian Authority institutions came into being, at the beginning, the Palestinian Authority focused on building the central governments and, in a way, overlooked the importance of civil society organizations and local government institutions. They were proven wrong because those were the entities, civil society organizations and local government institutions that carried, let's say, the platoon from 1960, 48, 67 and on. Hence, when the second intifada, second uprising started in 2000, and I witnessed that too. In 2002, we woke up one day and the entire Palestinian Authority centralized structure disappeared on us. Literally, no ministries were operational. USAID was around, other donors were around who wanted to respond to the emergency, destruction, the schools, health institutions, really a situation that we needed entities to help respond to. Who was there on the ground? The local government units, the municipalities. So the Palestinian Authority with time recognized that we cannot overlook the importance of municipal structures. Every senator we met over the past 2 days has been a mayor, right? No, seriously, it was really quite interesting. So they've all actually appreciated the role the mayor has to undertake. So in 2004, finally the Palestinian Authority planned the first elections. So we were finally on the track, the right track of building good governance institutions that represent the people. Hence, with the elections of 2004, we had entities that represent directly the citizens of the West Bank and Gaza, that were accountable to them, that were responsible officially and based on a democratic process to provide basic services and also to lead other important economic development opportunities and provide every kind of support citizens wanted. In 2004 and 5, the elections and the democratic process had its outcome. The international community, accordingly, because certain municipalities were led either by Hamas or by other entities. Bethlehem elections produced a council that was not considered favorable by the international community, including USAID. Hence, we couldn't work with Bethlehem for almost 7 years. When the current elections produced the current council, led by Mayor Baboun, and across the country, we were able to engage with leaders with moderate views who are ready to come and serve their constituents. Our focus was to help them respond to their citizens' needs as prioritized by their citizens. What Vera referred to in terms of the planning process, the master planning, building citizen service center, building small scale infrastructure, to enhance services to the public, acting as leaders of their community. This is what we have been doing over the past 10, 11 years with the support of USAID. I've been asked also over the past 2 days in our visits on the Hill, why should we be building roads in the West Bank and Gaza and not invest it in America? Because what we do, what local governments do, that lead to ensuring basic livelihoods, the living conditions of the Palestinian citizens, as Ms. Baboun referred to, are dignified. That is what leads to security, and that is what leads to potential going back to the peaceful track. Allow that to collapse on the local level, what you will see the next day is lawlessness, is havoc that's going to affect the Palestinians and all the neighbors. And we live in a region that doesn't need more havoc. We're barely coming to grips with what's happening around us. Now, another thing that we focused on, in addition to building the institutions of local governance, enhancing basic services, allowing them to be responsive to their citizens and so on, and this is a personal passion of mine, and that's why Wendy referred to that as something Lana totally believes in. We needed to help prepare the future leaders of Palestine. And what better than engage them in governance, engage them in municipal activities, have them understand what good governance means and practice it. So they get elected for 2 years, aged 15 to, but they have to leave office after 2 years, not 100 years sticking to the chair. Yeah. Yes, Jacob? So this is an example of the work we have been doing in order to prepare the future leaders of Palestine, because I believe, and I'll just share something with you, we started this program in the West Bank about 5 years ago on a pilot basis in 4 communities. It was a graduation project of a fellowship I had with the Aspen Institute as a member of the Middle East Leadership Initiative, and I thought I'll just do the project, finish it, and here I am. I'm a fellow. Now, beyond my beliefs, and it humbles me, we have municipal councils in 40 communities, 20 of them under the auspices of Global Communities funded by USAID. It's a seed funding, it's an investment, and Jacob will tell you more. 20 other mushroomed on their own based on the structure we created. I cannot anymore call it a project, it's a movement. When you have more than 40,000 youth engaged in positive actions, in volunteer, acting as good citizens, serving their communities, representing their youth, it is a positive movement that reflects the real spirit of Palestinian youth. They are provided with a voice and with a platform. Hopefully in the next year or so, through our programs that hopefully USAID will continue to support, we will be focusing on creating economic opportunities for these youth through local economic development, having municipalities and the great mayors we've been working with in more than 70 communities across the West Bank, 70 communities. The generous support of the American people over the past 10 years that enabled us to do that exceeded $130 million. But these are the results of where this money went. And hopefully we'll be able to continue to do that, building on the great partnerships we created. So we continue to engage rather than disengage. We continue to support, act as catalyst rather than siege and boycott and put holds. And I wanted Jacob and Betty to come with us because I can tell you about the youth of Palestine and I can tell you about the great work, but without hearing Mayor Baboun directly, without listening to Jacob, you'll never actually, and visiting. You're gonna extend the invitation to everybody to lighting the Christmas tree, Vera? She's been inviting everybody in Washington to come and light the Christmas tree with us this year on the 6th of December. So on her behalf, you're all invited. And I think I heard her saying that at least 4,000 Americans will be praying end of May on the in the Manger Square, in the major square, as a message of peace. And with that, I leave it to Jacob to tell you more about the youth of Palestine. بدك تقعدون ولا بدك؟ يلا. They need their IT things.
Good afternoon. I'm Jacob Qara'a. I'm the head of Bethlehem Youth Council. And actually, we have been, we won elections on May 2013. And we were elected by 345 members of the first General Assembly of the Youth Council. Our Youth Council contains 15 members, 6 females and 9 males, which is good for first youth council. Until a few days ago, we had about 800 members of the General Assembly. They are preparing themselves to participate in the new elections that will be on the 22nd of May. And we think that there will be about 45 members of the General Assembly who will run for the elections. So that's a good thing. People or the Palestinian youth now trust more in the Youth Council, which we thought that would be hard to gain the trust of the people in our cities, in our city. On first level or first stage of the Youth Council, we started to work with the municipality to provide us with help or training, also with global communities. Then we moved into the government level. We had the governor helping us, the police. Then we moved to the private sector, and we used all that support in our initiatives, which are related to health, culture, education, environment, and especially for people with special needs. The most amazing initiative, we had more than 60 initiatives for the past 2 years in all the categories that I mentioned. All of the work is voluntarily, like we don't pay, we even do not get paid for being members. Just we ask the people, whoever likes like serving health issues or solving them, he may participate in the initiative, like if it's related to health or education. So the most amazing initiative that we had is initiative called Friendly City for people with special needs. And we brought the governor, the deputy mayor, the police, and someone from the Ministry of Education in Bethlehem, and we had them. You see them on wheelchairs.
This is
God
the
forbid.
governor and the deputy mayor.
The governor from the right, the deputy mayor, and the representative from the Ministry of Education. We had them, on wheelchairs from the manager square till the conference room. We had 3 months activities. The first one was an orientation day, so that they know what they tell us, the people with the special needs, what or how can we help them, and they can ask the governor, the police, the municipality through the representatives. Through the 3 months, we worked specifically on schools. About 20 schools, we had their entrances like fixed to be friendly, especially for people on wheelchair. We thought that we can help With the municipality strategic plan in Jericho, we asked if they can, like in each project, if they can include يعني يخصصوا specify or fix the roads before they build them, so they can be used by people with special needs. So that's something really good. After the 3 months, we met again the municipality. They wanted us to take it on a higher level, like to go talk with the taxi companies in order they can provide some taxis that could serve them. The last initiative was during Christmas. It was the second time. We had a carnival from the entrance of the old city till the manager square for children of like SOS villages, scout troops, schools. We had 395 members or child. We gave them gifts, Santa Claus, clowns, everything that would make them happy. And we went to the Nativity Church. We're there right before we light the Christmas tree with the mayor. It was so amazing. We wanted to change the way they live, because Christmas have special spirit that we really want the children to feel out of the stress they have in the whole year. Also, we do meetings for our General Assembly at least once a year. We have to do that. They give us some ideas of what they want, how we are as a council working, like a way that they can, we can be accountable, if we can say that. We don't look for gender or religion. We are all Palestinian. We want to live a new life. We have a great power that we can serve the community, and before the council it was so hard to do that, and we are so glad that the Youth Council project became known on a national level, and it's improving. Like Lana said, it's now a movement more than just a small project. Thank you. This is last year Christmas tree lighting. Thank you.
I just want to say something. Last night, me and Jacob were looking at the TV and watching what's happening in Baltimore, and we decided we're going to call the mayor and ask her if she needs help, that we set up a youth council there.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Betty Babish. I'm a member at the Youth Council, General Secretary, and staff at Bethlehem Municipality too. I would like to say that this project is life-changing. You start not knowing what you really want to do. Before the experience, or before engaging in the local youth council, all of us, all the members of the youth council, we used to go to college, study, work, go home, go party, sleep and sleep and sleep. Yeah. So once we got this chance we thought it might be something, but not this important, really. So we engaged in the process of the election. We became members and we started asking questions. And that's the main important thing in this whole process. What are we going to do? What's the main purpose of all this? So we started with the things that we think that are our thinking about the problems we face daily as youth. With a high rate of unemployment, it's 25% in Bethlehem only, and it's like the second highest rate in the West Bank after Jericho. Our youth are so depressed. They don't have like this panel to express their dreams, their thoughts, even though we have like the most talented, smart youth around the world. And this is not some kind of exaggeration, no.
85% are educated.
Yes, and 85% of us have diplomas and BAs. And many of us have much more than a motivation or a dream. They want to serve their country. They want to study abroad and come back to do what they really want to do, change the situation that they are living in. So if we're talking personally out of our experience, we were like this sector that really want just to immigrate and leave the country. Because you have no opportunities, nowhere to express yourself, no support, nothing. But when you find the support and the motivation at all levels, the governmental level, the private sector level, all the NGOs, all the institutions, and most importantly, the support of your local community, you can find your country in like few years now, like it's a place where your economy can prosper and full of opportunities. So for that, this experience has changed us all to understand what we want, to address our problems, and help the municipality to get over so many things that we thought they are impossible to be solved. So thanks to Ms. Vera, Ms. Lana Abu-Hijleh, Global Communities, to the USAID, we were able to do so many things. And I'm personally speaking as a lady, a Palestinian lady. As you know, there's like a model for the Arab, a stereotype, thank you, for Arabs, ladies specifically. Really, just get married, have children, and that's all. And this opportunity makes us believe that this is not all. Fortunately, we have, in the current council, we had 6 ladies that were very active, and we're expecting more. And I was looking yesterday at the new General Assembly list of the members, and they're like a huge rate of ladies in that list, and this is very impressive. So for that, we would like to say that we need the continuity of this project, the continuity of the support at all the levels. So I guess that's
You'll
all.
always have me.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Betty. Thank you to all our panel. And I just have a couple of questions that I want to ask. First, I'm going to ask Mayor Baboun this question, and then we'll open it up to all of you. So, you know, there's a narrative here in the United States. I'm going to play devil's advocate. There's a narrative here in the United States that, you know, especially by well-meaning State Department officials, well-meaning members of Congress, and aid agencies that, you know, it's very necessary to fund Palestinians, and that even when nothing is happening on the political level, things can happen on the economic level, on the developmental level, and like Lana said, you know, you're helping people get their basic needs so that things don't get out of hand or too violent. However, there's definitely a competing kind of alternative narrative that a lot of Palestinians are using nowadays, especially when they're calling for basically the Palestinian Authority to dismantle itself. They say that, like you said, it's become an uncostly occupation for Israel. Why not leave the burden of governance to Israel, since you're not getting the benefits of independence?
63 years were spent in order to live an independence in the Near End. If things will continue like this, the authority has its final choices that she does not opt to choose because it is enforced on her. Definitely, we, by sustaining, by remaining, by leading life, we are supporting as well our authority. A lot of pressure. But I know, and everybody knows, that this process needs not the penalty of the Palestinian Authority at all, but finding the resilient right solution in order to end that occupation rather than dismantle the authority.
So, Lana, I just have a question for you. You just touched upon this really quickly when you were talking about, you know, the importance of aid. If U.S. aid was frozen, how would that impact your programs? Can you tell us in more detail?
Oh, we faced this already 3 times, I think, 3 or 4 times. It seems like I've always been building and rebuilding and then starting and stopping and so on. We've seen, the first one was in 2006, and it went on for at least a year, if I recall. But
that's when Hamas won the elections,
yes.
Right?
And the focus was on the support that would be provided to the Palestinian Authority. I mean, after certain deliberations here on the Hill, it was decided that the aid would be held for the Palestinian Authority national level institutions, but it would continue to a certain level, limited level, civil society organizations, local governments, because they're not formally governed part of the Palestinian Authority, they're independent bodies legally. But I've seen the immediate impact, and it's on more than one level. It goes beyond, first of all, programs stopping, people losing their jobs, momentums created for economic projects, for basic infrastructure projects, really halting and seeing the impact that on the general economy. But you see it also politically. You do not, you know, you see it from the people. I've been always asked, is the American aid branded? Does the Palestinian people know that's coming from America? And how do they receive it? Do they accept it? I have never, I mean, I work in Gaza from Rafah to Beit Hanun. I work in the West Bank from Hebron to Jenin, and I've never seen anybody coming and saying, I don't want this aid because it's coming from the American people. To the contrary, we appreciate this kind of support. We've never debranded our assistance. But what happens is when you totally politicize this aid, totally, and it's used sort of a punishment tool, and I want to use that. And today you're engaging, there is momentum even on the political level and on the local level, and the next day, for reasons that really skip me without full analysis, that really you don't stop aid, and that means you're punishing Abbas, if I'm going to say it. The ones who get punished are your people in the villages, in Jenin and in Ramallah, and who have been engaging continuously. And our reactions, let's say, as policymakers, is to disengage, choose to allow 20 years and more of investment to collapse rather than keep the momentum, build on it, knowing that it is what brings us back to the peace process and to the right track. So I've always come to the Hill trying to explain it is not a 1+1, meaning you get a 2 that's in your head. Such decisions do have such really destructive, and they are very counterproductive, and we'll end up spending another 10 years to rebuild what we stopped for a year.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Mayor Baboun one more question, and you touched upon this too. A lot of tourists who come to Bethlehem are tourists who are staying in Israel. They're staying in Israeli hotels. They are bussed into Bethlehem. They don't spend money there. They don't buy the food there. They don't buy the, trinkets and tourism, things there. And exactly, they don't have a meal. They have like their packed lunches brought in from Israel, and then you're getting none of it. In fact, I was looking up some of the numbers. The fourth quarter of last year, which is supposed to be your best time of year, which is Christmas, you had the highest unemployment rate of all of the West Bank. So what can you do anything to change this? Is there any way to kind of impact the way that this tourism happens?
Actually, a real peace process opens the viability for investment. In Bethlehem now we have a new industrial zone. And by the way, Bethlehem is very well known for the woodcraft and the, industry. However, since money is not there, you can never create a better economic situation. Let me add another fact. 22% is the rate of poverty in Bethlehem. And that is why Bethlehem, for example, 50% of our population are under the age of 29, a sword of two edges. 29, you can decide to leave the country seeking better opportunities and think from now and then of Bethlehem. Or you can stay there with the opportunities that you have and build the city and build the country as well. However, with all the challenges on ground, we can hardly create a possibility, specifically when a high rate of our youngsters are educated. Not many job opportunities can be there in the field of their specificity. So they end working in other things. Second, when tourism is controlled to that manner, while Bethlehem is depending on tourism, 33 hotels in Bethlehem. The rate for a room is almost $30 per night, including breakfast. Can you imagine? And if a tourist comes to Bethlehem for 2-3 nights, it is because it is cheaper than any other place. In the mere end, the economic cycle, it is a burden. It is destructive. That's why we occupy the movement of tourism. And as long as tourism is occupied, this will remain in Bethlehem. And that's what I say. Peace is highly needed on all levels. A slight example let me share with you. Recently I went to Chile, South America, and met a lot of Beit Jala, Beit Sahur, Bethlehemites, and asked the question, and I wish that I never asked this question. I asked, how many Bethlehemites do we have in Chile? And they said, 400,000. In Bethlehem, Christians, we are 48,000. But you need to know the reason as well. All the Bethlehemites who were out of Bethlehem in 1967, after the war, they lost their national identity number and thus lost their right to return back to Bethlehem. That means if anyone wants to come back, he needs a visa. By time, immigration gives birth to immigration. And we ended in Chile with 400,000 only, apart from South America, apart from here as well, while in Bethlehem alone we are 48,000. This restriction of in and out on the territorial area level is now duplicated on the restriction of in or out of the wall. If you track what happened in the last 40 years, this will happen after the wall, after 40 years. So it is not only economy, poverty, it is more than that.
All right, thank you. So now I'm going to open it up. So let's take 2 or 3 questions. Do we have a mic? And let's take a bunch of questions before we start.
Hi, I wanted to ask some questions about services provided to victims of domestic violence in Bethlehem, the city, and in the government. And I know there's a shelter, I think, in Bet Sahur, and there was a hotline started by one of the high-level police officers who I met a few years ago. So,
Can you tell us who you are? I'm sorry.
Andrea Barron, George Mason University.
Great. Okay, let's take another question. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, Ms. Vera Antoine. I'm from Bethlehem also. Good to see you here. I have 2 questions actually. First one is for Mrs. Abu-Hijleh with regards to dependency on funds. And I understand how important
Can you say that again? Cost of dependency on?
Dependency on funds and aid. And although I understand the situation and how much it's important to have run all these projects dependent on funds, but what are your strategies long term in order to have self-sufficiency, something from within, to build on all these future? I see the examples over here with the council, but what are more on economic society level? And Ms. Vera, my question for you was, in your presentation, you talked about importance for all stakeholders to compromise in order to achieve peace. What do you think about a more of a collaborative approach for a greater peace? Would that be something you would find more appealing, or what do you think about that?
All right, let's take one more question. Go ahead, sir, right in front here.
Thank you. Welcome to all of you. It's great to see you. You said you spent some time up on the...
Your name,
I'm
yeah.
Howard Sumka. I used to be the USAID director in West Bank, Gaza. What kind of reaction are you getting on the Hill when you make this presentation? Aside from the polite smiles and the friendly hellos, do you think there's any that you're denting that veneer at all with the folks on both sides?
All right. Do you want to go ahead? Oh, one more.
No, it's enough, I think, and then we'll move to more. The questions. Okay. Now, concerning the domestic violence, yes, we do have a house, a big one, even a center in Bethlehem. And by the way, it is not only Bethlehem has many centers for orphans, for the creche, mentally retarded. That means Bethlehem, in all its structure, really have a culture of havening those who are really with difficulties in life. And the center that we have girls who come from the different cities in Palestine. And we try our best in order to create a kind of preparation for them to face the world. That is not an easy thing, as you know, mainly in our culture, where when it comes to women, this is a real challenge. But it is a very good place. It's called Mihwar. Many young women are there. We try to keep on their moral sanity, and so it's going well. Now, in relation to the question on
reactions on the Hill, take the
no, the previous
compromise,
collaboration,
More collaborative approach.
collaborative. To collaborate, you need 2 hands.
The word is
To dance tango, you need 2, right? And as things on ground, this is not the fact. I think the Palestinian Authority has given all what it should be given. 1967, we are losing a major part of what is supposed to have a state. Settlements everywhere, walls everywhere. What makes the core of the state of Palestine, we are losing it as time goes on, and no definite solution is taking place. So the collaboration between who and who. This is, at least from my point of view, we give all what we can. As for the other question, to be honest, it's not a matter of smiles, no. Somebody, they were really realistic and they talked smiling and sometimes not smiling. And some others were realistic, but you went to the ICC. The law says we cannot continue. And that was a real question that I want to put inside and put in front of you. Who put the law? We put the law. The law did not put us. Law can be changed. But one thing I need to really pinpoint at, when you reach to the level that the Palestinian Authority and Abbas reached to, where no choices remained on the table, one final statement remained with the ICC. Well, we lose nothing but everything. So let's go ahead. We lose nothing because almost we lost everything. Please keep in mind the continuous building of the settlements and on 1967 is a full jeopardy for a two-state solution and thus a peace. So it is not a matter of if you don't do that, we will do that. No, actually, if the situation is not addressed as soon as possible, all losers be. And that is very important. So, yes, we were faced by these facts. And we hope that when we address the Palestinian status and the Palestinian situation, as time goes on, without things on ground takes place, Mr. Netanyahu was clear and cut. No state of Palestine. And the mobility on ground, the building of the settlements is unbelievable. It controls water, it controls land. But either to be or not to be. فيش فيها even collaboration, nothing.
Moving to Arabic now.
Oh. All right. Now I'm gonna turn it over to Lana, who's gonna answer the question about the reactions you've been getting on the Hill, and then we're going to go to the audience for one more round of questions before we wrap it up.
Yeah, on the the best day of my life is the day I'm gonna be out of a job. I mean, that would be the day, David. No, really, I mean, all what we are doing now is to ensure that at some point the institutions of the Palestinian state are able to function without any external support. The economy does not need external support. We have sufficient investors who are really lining up. And I have also another hat. I work a lot with the private sector. But you need peace and stability for that to happen. What we are doing with Palestinian municipalities is to ensure they have effective services so that they can have a continuous revenue stream. Then everything is moving fine in the right direction, and we have the right statistics, and we include that in our reports and M&E reports, and we say we're ready to graduate. Then suddenly you have the holding of the Palestinian taxes 4 months ago by the Israeli government, and the impact of that is immediate. This is another question we received today, is immediate. You have 170,000 public sector employees who rely on this. So at the end of the month, they're not getting their salaries. If they're not getting their salaries, they're not paying their water bills, they're not paying their electricity bills, they're not buying the sandwich, the falafel sandwich on the street. The economic wheel, we see it day by day coming to a halt. That's one side of it. Hence, by actions like this, the need for international assistance continues to grow. So it's not, the irony is, it's not in the hand of the Palestinian people who we ask to become self-sufficient, and we point the fingers at them and say, by now international aid should stop. We have another party that unfortunately is causing what it's causing. That's one side of it. So this is the answer we've been giving actually on the Hill, and that people need to think outside the box and see what is happening. I think it's very important to know also that a lot of investment, and the international community, that's why they are saying, why should we go into Gaza and rebuild something we spent 20 years or more building? And I don't know who we should point fingers at there. As I said, I spent my life from 1985 till now building schools, roads, hospitals, clinics in Gaza and in the West Bank, and it hurts me personally, as I'm sure it hurts so many others who are directly affected, to go back every day and to see those roads, hospitals, schools destroyed to the ground, homes that we provided loans to people. We manage a huge microfinance program, and we have probably served more than 100,000 clients over the years who took from their own hardly earned money the chance to take loans and repay them and build their homes. And I go now back to Gaza to see that these homes are destroyed. Who do these people go to? I mean, they were not given grants. They were given loans that they repaid. Our repayment rate in Gaza and our microfinance program is 100%. Can you imagine? I don't think any other MFI managed by global community has 100% repayment rate like in Gaza. It's known that the Palestinian person cannot sleep if he has a debt. Cannot sleep, maruf, cannot, even if you die, you leave it to your family, the first thing is you pay my debts. خلص ديوني. So you're dealing with a population that really is eager to build its own entity as a state, and I am sure with the leaderships of people like Jacob and Betty, it's not going to be my time, my daughters, it will be one of the most viable states, and it will not need anybody, and I'll go and retire.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to take one last round of questions. We're here? Can you just...
Hi, I'm Laura Hegg with the International City County Management Association, and this is a question for Jacob and Betty. Thanks for telling me about the work that you guys are doing. It's great. The photos were great. I was wondering if actually the council comes to you and talks to you about when they make policy decisions or when they pass new laws or ordinances. Do they come to you for counsel and input on those type of activities?
Can we have over here?
What about the role of nonviolent
Remind us your name.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my name is Jim Vitarello. I'm with an organization called Sharing Jerusalem. What about the role of nonviolent resistance? I know Bethlehem has a long history of that. Sami Awad is an old friend of mine, and I even participated in a week-long conference in Bethlehem where I stayed in a Bethlehem hotel for a week.
At $30?
Yes, and we had a wonderful conference on nonviolence headed up by Mubarak Awad, his uncle, and others, Mohammed Abu Nimr, etc. So is that consistent with what you're doing, not only in Bethlehem protesting the wall, but even going beyond that, maybe going out to the settlements, if you can get out there and protesting their ever expansion and their pollution and all the other wonderful things they do to the Palestinians? Isn't that also important so that you yourselves are not considered to be, quote unquote, collaborators? I mean, I'm being very blunt about this. I know Palestinian society quite well, even though I'm Italian American, but I've been involved in this issue for 30 years. All right, and I really believe that nonviolent resistance really needs broad support. And by the way, what about Hamas, at least in Bethlehem? Do you think they could support that?
All right, too many questions. All right, anybody else over here? Ma'am?
My name is Fifi Saba. I'm Palestinian American, and it's just really a comment. It's not a question. Going back to your first question, unfortunately, giving control to the Israelis of Bethlehem or the areas is giving up, and my people don't know how to give up.
Thank you. Let's go to a question. Sir, over there with a question.
Hi, my name is Rafiq Masri. I'm a Palestinian American, and I want to thank Global Community and the Middle East Institute for holding this event and for you to be here, because I think it's so important for the American public to have those wonderful faces representing Palestinians. And I hope you had chance to go around the country, because it's so important for people here to hear from you. You know, the best thing I think is for the Americans to go there. But
question. Your question.
So my question is, sorry. My question is, I'm so glad to hear about this projects that Global Communities is working on. It seems to me like it's a bottom-up approach, and I'm wondering what is the trends in terms of foreign aid going into Palestinians? Is it what percentage of it is like bottom-up versus like top-down?
Okay, so we're going to go to the answers. I'm going to start with Betty and Jacob. So Betty, go ahead and start answering the first question about the Youth Council. Do you all get consulted or not when local ordinances and laws are made?
Okay, luckily when we were elected 2 years ago, the municipality was preparing for its strategic plan. So we got engaged in that, and through different workshops, discussing the problems of the city, the cases that we need to work on, projects that we need to do in the city. And luckily we proposed some projects. One of them was to build a playground, since we have no recreational areas for youth in the city. And this project was approved by the council, thanks to them.
Great example. Okay, Mayor Baboun, can you answer the question perhaps about the role of nonviolent resistance?
As you know, it's a strategy now. Nonviolence, it's all over the place. And in order to keep on a very secured tantrum, I know you're talking about Sami, and Sami is leading together with the institution a lot of nonviolence and protests, whether on the wall, whether on different parts. In the mere end, for me, it's not a matter of, as you said, some people consider them collaborative, or I don't know what. This is the question?
Collaborators.
Collaborate? No. Honestly, this is not the issue. The issue is each leads his conviction, how he relates to his nation and city in his own way. And to protest and go there keeps the voice high. All is respected, and that's why the final issue is, the final line is it legitimate or not legitimate to have violent or non-violent? Are we going to keep asking the question without really asking the question, which is, why up till this moment we are not achieving a peace process, not how we are carrying the resistance in order to reach? And this is the question I put in your hand. When will it be?
Thank you. And now I'm going to give Lana the last comment. She's going to tell us a little bit about trends in aid, top or bottom.
Another thing I discovered doing the rounds on the Hill, that most of our policymakers and legislators think that the money that they approve goes to the Palestinian Authority's hands, to Abbas, to, and I've been asked this question, to the ministries. By the way, and Howard Sumka is here and he can confirm, we are not, as implementing partners or USAID, allowed to transfer a cent from the economic aid to the Palestinian National Palestinian Authority institutions. We either directly implement or work with civil society organizations or even with municipalities. The only, and I just hear from my knowledge, money that goes directly to the Palestinian Authority is the security money. And that's the only one that they cannot afford to stop. Howard.
All righty. Well, I want to thank the panel here, Mayor Vera Baboun, Lana Abu-Hijleh, Jacob Qara'a, and Betty Babish. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you all. for your questions.